Tushonka is always eager to leave camp,
No, back. Boy.
especially when he knows the next stop is home. But as we prepared to leave, something was still weighing heavy on my mind. Of all the questions I've answered as the disabled hiker, there's only one I've avoided touching upon in my videos over the years. In the past, I always avoided being too specific about my health issues. I felt it enabled my viewers to associate their own medical concerns to what I was demonstrating. However, over the summer, it's come to my attention that there's a serious flaw to this approach, and its name is advocacy. Advocacy's an important word, but even more important when put into action. Most of the time when people see me with my cane, people assume I have back or leg issues, and I've grown tired of explaining. After all, what happened to me isn't something you can condense into a 30-second elevator speech. After months of contemplation, I'm beginning to realize that it's not going to get any easier, and perhaps the right time has always been now.
Okay. This way. This way.
After lung surgery,
That's the house.
I was diagnosed with neuropathy and soon after that intractable pain, commonly referred to as IP. And as implausible as it sounds to some, I live with debilitating pain every day. Pain that inhibits not only my breathing, but my mobility as well. Between the ages of 23 and 36, I had several incidences of spontaneous pneumothorax, all of which that would go completely undiagnosed because of my lack of health insurance. A spontaneous pneumothorax is a medical term that refers to the seemingly spontaneous collapse of the lung, usually resulting from Bleb's disease. And my last one was massive. Within a matter of seconds, my left lung had collapsed to 15% of its original capacity, and every breath I took caused excruciating pain while putting enormous pressure on my heart as the lung tried to re-expand. However, in this case, the cure ended up being worse than the cause itself. The resulting emergency surgery to put in a chest tube, followed by another surgery a few days later to repair the lung, caused significant nerve damage to my sternum and ribs, and the pain causing significant restriction to my breathing. This coming May 9th, it'll be 20 years that I've been dealing with chronic pain, and I count myself as one of the very, very lucky ones. Most chronic pain patients don't get to keep so much of their former lives. Chronic pain changes us by ripping away whole chunks of what you thought was a stable life. As you battle the pain, everything else seems to be at war with you as well. Your job and economic stability gone, feelings of self-worth inevitably follow. And regardless if these things are gone in a flash or removed like pieces on a chessboard, these losses have their repercussions just the same, and the collateral damage can stretch from one end of a life to another. But that's where I got lucky. I have a hell of a support team at home. And no matter if they're still with me or passed on over this past 20 years, their love and understanding has meant a great deal to me. And then there are those who helped me to create the Disabled Hiker today, without whose help I would not have been able to expand the Disabled Hiker the way I have over the last 2 years. And I daresn't forget about the crew that keeps me sane on a second-to-second basis as well. Living with IP is a moment-to-moment fight, one that I can only claim victory over a portion of the time, but victory is victory nonetheless. And so I take my victories wherever I can get them, whether it be up here on the trail or in the city and at home.
If you're not doing anything, it's a beautiful day. Just sit and feel the slight breeze. But it's been a good trip. Sometimes that's all you need, just a little bit of time to get out in the woods. Sometimes you need longer. Maybe next time, huh? Okay.
It can take me up to a week or more to recover from my hikes. So over time, I crafted what I now call my back home recovery list. Ironically, this list actually starts before I leave camp. Number 1 on this list is to leave camp as early as possible. Personally, I tend to push myself a little harder when hiking out of the woods than when hiking in. And whether it's about just being anxious about leaving or making a rendezvous time for a ride home, pushing yourself in this way can be very dangerous. This is when mistakes are made and accidents happen, as your mind strays from the task at hand, which is getting home safely. Second on my list is to keep rehydrating. Often the push to get out of the woods leads you to ignore all kinds of signs your body is giving you, and hydration can be one of the worst to ignore. So it's important to keep hydrating all the while you're walking out of the woods, and then again when you get home. Third was to replace my electrolytes. Whereas I used to do this by drinking one of the popular sports drinks on the market, I found far better results by simply eating a handful of salted nuts or even pretzels once I reached home. Fourth on my list is cleanup and inspection. It usually doesn't take long after being reunited for my wife to tell me that I smell like 100 smoky campfires and old sweaty socks. But there's more to it than just a simple shower or a bath. It's a good time for a little peace of mind, too. This is the best time to check for ticks, insect bites, and other injuries that have gone unnoticed. And next, eat a good meal. Follow your cravings, as they usually know what's best at this time. And yes, even if that craving tells you to stop at the little burger place down the street for some takeout. And last, schedule a vacation from your vacation. In the weeks leading up to a trip, I do my best to clear my schedule of everything for the following week after I come home. Depending on my pain level, I don't usually sleep much the first few nights when I come back from the trail. However, I do insist upon 8 hours of rest, even if those hours are not necessarily filled with sleep. For those 8 hours, I make a conscious effort to stay off the internet and stay away from anything that would overstimulate my mind. For as long as I can remember, I've always thought of the earth as something that was alive. The grandmother of all grandmothers, our teacher, provider, healer, our home. And although it may be difficult to feel at times through the pain and frustration of our condition, we are part of this earth. And many of us, like me, feel the connection most profoundly as we seem to feel every change in atmospheric pressure and coming storm. And despite the sometimes overwhelming pain, I also feel the deep gratitude for life itself and the privilege of feeling earth beneath my feet.